Welcome back, Chiefs Kingdom. The sun has risen and the team is still alive, and so are you. I'm happy to say that day after Thanksgiving, this is the aftermath show. We haven't done one of these in a long time because they haven't pissed away a win in a long time like this. So we are going to go through it. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Thanks for letting us take a little bit of a breather with our families and come do this today as a breakdown of the team. I'm still on coffee and apple pie, so I might even just enjoy some of that during the show. Dan, how are you feeling today?
I mean, I think I'm feeling as good as everybody else. Is you post one thing on Twitter that is tongue-in-cheek and everyone loses their damn minds, and I have to actually go and delete a tweet. Like, I don't like to delete tweets, but like people are overreacting to this nonsense. It's getting to the point where we can't be more right about this team, and they don't care. They just don't care. Watching that game yesterday, I was like, okay, fine. Get out to an early hot start with your passing, no big deal. Then you have that second drive, and that's what it should look like all game long. And It should have looked like that all game long. And then they said, no, we're good. Andy Reid went back to his old stuff. I'm feeling like this is I don't even know how to describe what it looks like when you have success. The only way that your team really can function, and you blatantly ignore it. I can't for the life of me figure out that problem with Andy Reid. All I do know is that it is the reason that they lost that football game yesterday.
Yep. I agree. And I'm not sure. I'm trying to find the right thing to put the chat up here because I want you guys to all be involved in the chat today. So we are going to get to your super chats and your member questions. So thank you guys. In fact, New York Knicks fan, we're going to get you here in just a second.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's the overreactions, not just by the fan base today, but by the coaching staff yesterday. And I don't know why they felt the pressure to go away from the run. If you look at the 4 drives in the end of the second, start of the second half, second quarter, and into the third quarter, what happened then was you got pass happy yet again.
Yeah.
And you went away from it. Cumulative stats on the day don't lie. And yes, situational football certainly counts. But when you're getting good run from both of your backs, and what did Isaiah get? 2 carries? I don't even think that. I have to go back and check. But it's functional, and it's getting the job done. And honestly, it would have protected your DBs a little bit. I myself am disappointed in the defensive secondary because they put up a good first half, and then it all fell apart. And I know everybody wants to talk about Trent McDuffie's head today. You know what? Trent McDuffie, we knew this was a tough battle for him.
Yeah.
We knew that this was going into, this is his weakness against bigger physical receivers. Some of those calls are pretty ticky-tack. I got to give you the truth. And I'm not one to talk about the calls a whole lot. But that said, it's everything else. Jalen Watson allowing multiple slants from George Pickens inside of him is unforgivable. That's exactly what you're built to do, is to stop that route because you can body up on him when he goes. Tamari Connor just, this is the decision point. This is why the title has the decisions in here. This is about Steve Spagnuolo not making the changes that we've outlined for over a year now in this secondary. And they're going to have to go back to the drawing board now. I didn't think, honestly, as much as I like him, I didn't think the absence of CRW was going to cause such a problem. But it did, because you took Trent out of the slot. You had to go to Connor. That change-up where he's actually aligned as a safety and Lamb comes off and they do the switch, and yet he's still flat-footed as Lamb runs past him, that's a technique problem. That's a coaching problem. That's an instinct problem. That is not a problem with the alignment. That's allowing a guy to be in a place that he can't do his job, period.
At the end of the day, Tamari Connor shouldn't see the field. I mean, granted, with a Brian Cook injury, you don't have much of a choice, but you should have Noel Williams out there and at this point, you have to kind of put Trent McDuffie back in the slot. I know he doesn't want to play there because he wants to be an outside corner. The simple fact of the matter is you're going to have to do that on nickel downs. Like, I think that there, especially if CRW is out, like that's the only real thing that makes sense to me going forward if CRW remains out. If he comes back in, I think you can have a little bit more leeway. But Tamari Connor should not see the field. He shouldn't be on it. I really don't, at this point, I don't think he gives you anything that helps your team in pass coverage. Because if we know one thing about the defense is that they can't rush the passer. If
Good.
you rush the passer, how long do you think you're just going to give a quarterback to throw the football? And if you're blitzing, you trust Shamari Connor to play one-on-one with any receiver? I don't. So just by that process of elimination, you know you can't rush the passer. You know you have to blitz. Ergo, Shamari Connor can't be in man coverage ever. Ever.
No, exactly. He can be in space. And I'm not saying, I don't agree that he can't be on the field. He can be on the field, but he can't be asked to man up on nearly anyone. You could ask him to go jam the hell out of tight ends and fall off into a zone. You can ask him to blitz. You can ask him to run stop. You cannot ask him to man cover anyone at this point. And I like Shamari Connor, and I like some of the things that he brings. I wonder, and I made the note last night, Hicks missed a couple of things, and I wonder if that's why we haven't been seeing him more, because it was not technique to me. It was mental. A lot of these things are mental and not being prepared for how you're about to be attacked. And that's on the coaching staff as well.
You answer my question best because I think I know the answer. What's the best way to teach somebody how to do something?
To show them, to demonstrate.
So if Jaden Hicks is not getting it in practice, do you think you should maybe, I don't know, put him on the field, have him execute it and say, you did that wrong, do it this way, and then have him do it again? Because one thing we saw the Dallas Cowboys do was the same thing over and over and over again. So guess what? You're going to see the same looks over and over and over again. If he's not getting it right, get him on the field so that he can fix his mistakes. If you on the coaching staff are not improving these players in practice, they have to get on the field because they're not learning in practice what to do. Noah Williams, do you think he's better now than he was earlier in the season? No, he's not, because he's not getting any reps. He's getting none for no reason at all. We don't know why.
I did see him on the field a couple times. Did he get zero
special teams? He didn't
plays?
Get any defensive plays, I don't think.
No, none at all. Okay. Oh, he did. He got 6 snaps in coverage.
Oh, sorry.
Just enough.
Snaps.
Desperation. Just desperation is my point. And I think this goes back to a different thing. And this is not to throw Spags under the – Spags doesn't need to go, folks. Spags doesn't need to go. For those that are having that kind of overreaction, it is an overreaction. But he does have to learn to give up some of his preconceptions. Just like with Dan Sorensen 8 years ago, Shamari Connor is not the player Spags thinks he is. For whatever reason, whether it's the day-to-day connection in the meeting rooms and a personal connection, or the fact that he's been in there, he is not capable of doing the things you're asking him to do. This has to be reevaluated within the room of Dave Merritt and Steve Spagnuolo. But here's the bigger thing. The other systemic problem that I have with this, I think, is becoming more and more clear. And I know folks want to hear about old players that could have done this or could have done that, and why didn't you resign this or whatever. Justin Reed was not going to stay on this team because of the salary issue. This was a money problem. But you didn't replace him. There's no leader back there. As much as I still like Brian Cook, he cannot go teach Jaden Hicks how to do his job. Nobody can teach Shamari Connor, evidently. And without a leader in that room that has the veteran experience to do that, that's part of this problem. And I do think the coaching staff relies on the leading players, the elite players on this defense in particular, to lead the way and coach them up on the field as much as they do on the practice field. And I have a problem with that because you allowed yourself to not compensate for the loss of Justin Reed. It's not Justin Reed himself. It's the fact that you did nothing about the fact that you lost him and you just plugged guys back in.
I'm struggling to figure out what Jaden Hicks isn't grabbing personally. I mean, obviously, I'm not in on the coaching staff. I don't know, but I'd like to know, because at the end of the day, Jaden Hicks, again, not just me, was a very high draft, high prospect for a lot of people at the safety position.
Mm-hmm.
And when you watch the way he played, is it just that Steve Spagnuolo's defense is so complex that he's just not there yet? In a second-year player, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. All
I do know is that if that's true, then you came into the season knowing it was going to be a failure once again. Like, if we understand that they know it takes so long to learn his defense, and they did nothing to address the pass rush, and they did nothing to fix the defensive tackle. They went into this season knowing that the construction of their defense was hanging on Chris Jones being the best defensive player in football. And that is not just coaching hubris, it is the most unexplainable and unforgivable act that you can do, much like we have seen time and time again with Patrick Mahomes in the offensive line before this year. Oh, he'll fix it. Oh, Chris Jones will fix it. You cannot put every single thing on one player's shoulder of the one side of the football and expect everything to be okay. Now, there's good players on the defense side of the ball. Trevor McDuffie had a bad day. Guess what? He should be allowed to have a bad day. He should be allowed to have a bad day because at the end of the day, there's some really good players out there. There's some really good wide receivers. You're not going to win every single rep. You're not going to win every single route. And again, I agree. There were some ticky-tack calls there. There were some push-offs on the offensive side that should have been called. But you have to allow your great players to have off days. That's where they get picked up by everybody else. George Karlaftis was a no-show in this football game. He was a no-show. There was no pass rush. There was none. Absolutely none. For everything about George Karlaftis that is good. He's got great effort, great motor, and he does a great job in the run. And I think he identifies things relatively quickly outside of screens for whatever reason. He doesn't really see screens. However, I'm going to get on the soapbox again because this is why I wouldn't have drafted him. I don't care how great your motor is. I don't care how I do. I can't say I don't care how great your motor is because I do care about that. I don't care how great you are at run defense and how much you have as a power player. If you cannot pass rush and if you can't create real pressures, not fake pressures, because that's what Karlaftis does. They're fake pressures because he doesn't actually impact the quarterback for the most part. If you can't actually disrupt the passer, you are not useful to me on any third down situation. George Karlaftis is unuseful on third down for the most part because he does not make the quarterback throw the football quickly. And therefore, you have to stress your corners and they have to play an extra second and they have to get against good receivers. Everybody in the NFL is good, pretty much for the most part. They're all good. They made it to the NFL. If you give wide receivers an extra second half to throw the football to, they're going to find ways to get open.
Yeah, there's no way around it. And I agree with you. And this is where I start to lose my mind about some of the things that PFF says. Because they have George Karlaftis with 3 pressures yesterday and Shamari Connor with 4. Chris Jones with 2. Derek Noddy with 2. I didn't see Noddy get any pressure. And I'll put it this way. Sometimes PFF will counter pressure, and even Next Gen Stats will counter pressure if you beat the initial block. Not necessarily because you make the quarterback stop his motion. And if you make him take a step up, we can have an argument whether that's actually a pressure or not. If you make him double clutch or change his platform, that is a true pressure in my mind. And that's what we don't see here. And it is across the defensive front. Now, I made a mistake and I took Red's comment off of there. I'll just tell you guys, and thank you for being with us on an Aftermath Day on a Friday. Come on in. Hope you're enjoying Black Friday. Thank you for being with us. We're taking it easy. Dan's having a drink. I'm having some pie. And lunch for me on Black Friday is pie and another double espresso. So cheers to you guys.
Nice. I've got a nice forbidden pumpkin here from Abomination.
You like the pumpkin. I cannot get into it.
I've tried. This is different, dude. It's 9.3% alcohol. It is big. It's a big boy. Like this is
just stuff. A delivery system for the alcohol. I'm with you. Okay. Breakfast, by the way, on Black Friday for me is that thigh that I carved and I tucked away so nobody else could take it. So I always reheat that, and we make mashed potato pancakes on Black Friday. Nice. So that's what we've done today. How was your meal?
It was good. You know, it was great. My wife did the best gravy she's ever had. You know, we did. I finally made dinner rolls right for the first time this year. Bread is something that I'm learning more and more, and I got them perfect because I make them the way that my mom does. Because my mom makes the best dinner rolls I've ever had in my life, and I finally recreated them this year, so that was great. My wife made a cranberry sauce that was probably the best that we've ever had. We always do homemade, like she does it every year. It's fantastic. So it was a really good meal. And then we're gonna have leftovers for dinner.
Right. That's the way it works. That's great. I hope your meal was good. And I know this was a sour taste probably after a lot of you ate. I was right in the middle. The bird got done 5 minutes into the third quarter. It drove me nuts. I had to get out of the oven. I got distracted. It was not good. So I've rewatched today. And a couple of things also stick out to me. We're going to get to some of the questions here because the super chats and the members are in here. If you want on the show today, make sure you throw a super chat in there. We'll get to them all. We are done. We went against a bad D and we lost. Also have no pass rush, and 27 is still bad in coverage. I appreciate you, Knicks fans. And I appreciate your 32 months. I won't say we're done yet, though, because Patrick made a comment, and I do agree with it. We've proven we can beat elite teams, and we've proven we can lose to just about anybody. That is still the case. This is a Jekyll and Hyde team. They don't know who they are, and you don't know who's going to show up. They could still put it together, and if they win out and rise to the occasion, there's still a slim chance that they get into the postseason. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm just saying it's not done yet. So, and I hope you're having a good drink there.
I do appreciate the optimism there on your side, Ryan. However, this, I think, personally needs to be done. I think that this season, what it is, needs to have a true culmination of ending, because without it, if they make the postseason and go on a run, what changes? What changes? Nothing changes. Nothing does. And I'm not here to say that I want the Chiefs to miss the postseason, because I always think that there's a chance that they get in. Patrick Mahomes will lead them to the Super Bowl, because we know that he can do that. And anybody that thinks he's not a good quarterback is absolutely false. He's been one of the best, like, 3 quarterbacks in the NFL this year with everything going on, even with his own struggles. So, however, there has to be something so drastic that happens to change what a coaching staff is willing to do. Andy Reid showed you yesterday that he doesn't care about what works, about what actually physically works around the league. Have you guys watched the Chicago Bears today?
Right.
The first half of that football game?
So.
It's not a full, complete idea yet for the Bears. It's still a work in progress. However, their offensive line's not very good, and they run the damn ball. They run the damn ball very well. It doesn't matter who's back there. And the one thing I keep going back to is that on that second drive, I wrote it down from the offense's perspective, they were under center more. They ran more outside zone. And that disappeared after that. That they said, okay, we did what we had to do. We showed the defense we're going to do it. And then they refused to do it the rest of the football game. Yeah. How does that work? When you see something is working, you keep going at it. What were the Cowboys doing? Oh, play action. Run the ball, play action. You have a post route or a slant route where they can't cover. All right, do it again. 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 Do it again until they can't stop it. Mike Edwards finally almost got a pick on a rollout with an over route, because it took to the fourth quarter for them to figure out that it was coming.
It did. And the back-to-back slants to Pickens on Watson, I think, was the extreme case of showing you what you should be doing to your face. Brian Schottenheimer just beat you. Brian Schottenheimer.
Hey,
let that sink in for a minute.
That offense is run extremely well. He has done a fantastic job.
I do not agree.
Of game planning. How do you not agree? They've had one of the most explosive offenses over the NFL over the past.
I do not put that it's run well. I think Dak's playing out of his mind and compensating well. That's what I think. I do not think it is kudos to the coaching staff. And you'll never hear me say that.
And brought in George Pickens, who works perfectly with him to give CeeDee Lamb somebody else. And Javonte Williams is running the ball well for them. Not against the Chiefs for the most part, but they've done a good job. And Dak Prescott's always been this quarterback, but they have not had a competent coach or offensive coordinator until now. And then when you finally slot in that second player, and I'm not here to say that George Pickens was great yesterday, but you want to know what he did? He drove Jalen Watson absolutely crazy, because they were not calling offensive pass interference, and that's what you have to do as a wide receiver. If they're not going to call it, you go to it. He's always going to do it. Always commit OPI. Always. Because you want to know what? They are far more likely to call on a defense than they are on the offense. Every single time. So I disagree with that. I think Schottenheimer has done a really good job this year. We'll see next year how it works out, because when you get tape on everybody and everything just like that. But overall, they matched up extremely well against the Chiefs, and they adjusted and actually just kept doing the same thing over and over again. The Chiefs said, yeah, we don't care.
Yep. And that's the thing. And you've heard us talk about that before. when the Chiefs have an advantage in some form or fashion, you need to just pummel it until they take it away from you. And that's what they should know by now after playing the Patriots, playing Tom Brady himself. It was a staple of the way that they approach things, and they still can't do that. I still feel, despite a lack of pass rush, and that is largely talent. Let's be true. There's going to be a lot of discussion this year, this offseason, about how you paid George Karlaftis. Because I don't think George let off. I'm not here to say that. I don't think that he got paid and decided to relax.
No.
I just don't. I think he's just the same player that he was, and the ascension has stopped. And that's what I see out there.
I'm with you, and we both agree with that. I really don't want to keep getting on this, guys. I'm trying to stress to you why the draft process and realizing what a player is so important. George Karlaftis had almost no ceiling. There was almost no ceiling because there's no athletic gifts that allow him to rush the passer. He didn't have any. And that's why, going back to when I was streaming on Twitch and showing you guys one of his games, I was so frustrated when I was doing that because there's no real evidence that he's a good pass rusher or has the ceiling to become one. And all that mattered to them was the effort that he played with. At the end of the day, effort is awesome. If you don't have the physical tools to rush the passer and win consistently, your effort means diddly squat on third down. It means nothing for the most part.
Effort can get you stats in college. It will not in the league. That's the difference. That's also the projection portion of the draft. And you guys know that we put in all the time capable. EJ's going to be riding with us again this year, and we're going to get started. But
sorry, guys.
This is already feeling this, so just understand it coming out.
Logan, thank you for your question. It's straight coaching, guys. Was at the Dallas game, but even I can see it. Cheers. Thank you, Logan, and appreciate the support. I have to agree with you that it's coaching mistakes that led to this, but there's execution too. It is a balance because I felt like the defense let down. Matt Derrick really felt that Nick Bolton played well yesterday. I did not agree. I felt like he was out of position multiple times, especially on that Javonte Williams touchdown. Just the basics of what your leader should be doing. Same thing with Chris Jones picking a gap and leaving holes in the run fits. The decisions of your leaders breaking down the defense as well.
One thing I will say about that is Chris Jones owned up to his mistake immediately. Nick Bolton never does. I never see Nick Bolton say he makes a mistake because I don't think he thinks he does. But I will say that I think Nick Bolton was better than I've seen him in a while yesterday in terms of coverage, positioning.
Yes.
I think he was in pretty good positions multiple times. However, he chose to take the quarterback in the red zone when you need to stay on your man in the red zone at all times. I do not care who is running the football unless it's Lamar Jackson at his peak. I don't care.
Yeah.
You need to stay to your responsibility.
Absolutely. And I do think there was a little bit of confusion as well because you go back and look at the play. Tamari Connor is not positioned as though he knew where to be either.
Correct.
So I think both of them had a miscommunication of some type. So I just want to leave that sliver of air if that was not actually Nick's guy and they were inverting or something like fair. That. Hanneman, thank you. Vicha screwed up the last few drafts big time. I disagree. I think they've been in tough situations picking last. It's always difficult. But I will say this. Pat Sperduto is an excellent coach. I don't know that he's getting listened to enough or if there are other voices in the room, but the offensive line and the defensive line selections lately have felt unicornish, where they zero in on an aspect of a player's game and not a totality of a player's game, and they run with it when they're out of options. Now, Simmons fell to them, so they didn't have to do that. They had a full evaluation on him. From what I understand, the cast was on when they left. I don't expect to see him. A wrist dislocation for an offensive lineman is difficult because that's where you funnel all of your power through. Even a fracture can heal in 4 weeks, and you can come back.
I'm saying both. Both.
Yeah. Fair enough. It's the dislocation for me that is more worrisome because it generally takes longer to heal, and you have to deliver your power through your hands. An offensive lineman without hands, some will try to play with a club. I know lots of guys have tried that, especially in the older years. it doesn't work as well in the current NFL because hand use is just so important in terms of not just punch, but engagement and control. You can't do that if you're clubbing it.
Especially for him. He's been fantastic with his hands this year, and that's a big reason why he's so good. So I don't expect to see him the rest of the season.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say I agree with you. Perry, thank you, and thanks for being a member. Looking ahead to the cap situation isn't that big. Remove Taylor, Dana, Trank. You are even than the restructures. We need to get more picks and focus on D. Yeah, Taylor is there. Obviously, are you going to have to make room for Travis? Is this sour enough a taste that Travis is going to try to come back? I don't know. What he said the other day, I'm a little surprised, honestly, because I would not necessarily be game if I were him to try to jump back into the fray here, but it is what it is.
Really? I think Travis looks great. I think Travis looks better than he has in years.
Trav looks great. I don't know that there's solutions for them to get back, is what I'm saying.
Oh, I think I'm far more optimistic in the future, in the immediate future, than I think a lot of people are. Well, I do think that. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you to elaborate because specifically in this case, I was really disappointed with Moore yesterday. I know that he probably has not been practicing on the right as much, but I had really hoped he'd be able to come in and shore that up better than he did. I thought he looked lost.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, but like you said, he's been playing left tackle probably for the most part as not just the backup, but practicing. And
yeah,
like we've seen, I think people don't realize that those guys don't get reps with the ones ever. They don't. Right. As a backup, you never get reps with the ones in practice. You don't. So he didn't look great in his first reps as a left tackle when he had to go in for Josh Simmons. I think it'll be better if he has to play left tackle with a full week of practice, which he will have to. We don't know much about Taylor's injury yet in elbow that he's been clearly dealing with because he's been wearing the brace or wearing the band or something. But to me, I think because of everything that is happening this season, specifically, I think it goes back to the defensive trenches. I think this is a relative quick fix, personally. Now, if you take the road of Trent McDuffie, we're going to try and trade you. We're going to extend Jalen Watson. We're going to play Noah Williams next year. That gives you draft capital. It allows you to not have to pay Trent McDuffie a bunch of money, which, again, I still would pay him. I don't care how he played yesterday. Still play Trent McDuffie because he's a great player and all pro. But if we are looking through the lens of how they have done this in the past, it is trade a great player, get draft compensation, and then retool. They don't need to fix a ton of things personally. I think they need to retool the defensive line, defense tackle, a defensive end, a veteran defensive end, someone who can actually rush the passer, not a draft pick. And that is really what it takes to make them a team that will compete for a Super Bowl next year, because the offensive line will be healthy. And again, a top level offensive line, in my opinion, next season. You still have the weapons. You have another year of development. Xavier Worthy will be healthy. I imagine Travis comes back and he's still good. You have Jake Brenningstool. Again, I think he's going to be great. That's me putting my eggs in that bucket. I think he's going to be a great receiving tight end. So I think that the path to them getting better next year is still relatively quickly. It's all about how they address it and if they actually care about addressing the defensive line, because that is the biggest problem with this defense and really the team.
So let me paraphrase you. You're assuming that Norman Lott is a full-time player next year, correct?
Yes. But also adding to that, not just making him be the only guy.
Right. No, and that's my point, is they have to have a designated defensive tackle pass rusher.
Correct.
Because I don't know that Norman's going to get there. Given this injury, he's going to need path, right?
Maybe it's bringing in a veteran who not like a Pinnell or a Nani, but someone who can be a defensive run stopper, drafting a guy and then letting him lose weight, because Omar Norman Lott needs to lose weight. I'm telling you right now, he needs to lose weight. He can't play at this weight. It's not working for him. He needs to play lighter.
I agree. He needs to go back to his college weight. Thereabouts, maybe a little bit. With an NFL strength conditioning program, you should gain a little weight, but it shouldn't be abnormal. And I do think that led, or at least contributed, I should say, to the injuries. So Thank you, Perry, for your observations. Appreciate you. Chris, you can say that I'm being extreme or overreacting, but most of this coaching staff, besides our DB, D-line, and Reed, need to be gone in the offseason, and maybe Veach too. There's absolutely no way that will happen, and I will tell you that there's no way it should. A couple of lapses on being number 32 for 3 years in a row, for all intents and purposes. I can't lay that at Veach's feet. He's doing the best he can with being the last in line for the elite talent. What you're seeing is where we're seeing failures right now. We're seeing failures at offensive tackle. We're seeing failures at defensive edge rush. And we're seeing some inconsistencies, at least at cornerback. Outside of McDuffie, yes, McDuffie gets to have a bad day every now and then. We know that. He did play well against Sutton, so I do want to bring that back up as well. Those are core pillar stone positions that generally you need a top 10 pick to get an elite player at. That's the problem, is they don't have any of that. Now, the trade scenarios, I personally would keep Trent McDuffie myself, but I understand where you're coming from. We'll see. I don't think this performance should shade their planning for Trent McDuffie myself. But I do think that they also have to dedicate themselves, and Spags needs to loosen up a little bit on have to have the power-based defensive end in a four-man front. This is not a 3-4. A 3-4, you have to have powerful, big, heavy linemen. A 4-3, where you're running out of base and you're still only rushing 4, you must have pass rushers. Pass rushers first. However they get there doesn't matter. If it has to be speed, it has to be speed. I personally prefer to have one like that. I personally want somebody lighter, more nimble that can get off the damn ball and explode. If you can't get that and you have to go power, as long as they are, as you said, proven connectors with the quarterback, that's what it has to be.
I'm going to tell you that, not you, sorry, Ryan, a lot of people here, that there are a couple of places that I want to see replacement coaches. They need a real wide receiver coach. Yes. No offense. They need a real running backs coach.
No offense.
Like, I know that earlier, maybe last year, I was giving a little more grace to Connor Embry. However, if we look at the use of Rashee Rice, we look at the use of Xavier Worthy, which might have little to do with his injury. It's all based on usage. They're not developing as players. They're not. Nope. They are staying the same, but usage is different.
And
they're
this
not
game
developing.
Showed it. This game showed it. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. But Xavier not playing to the ball, not trying to get extra yards, running out of bounds at every single thing. If you need to avoid a big hit, absolutely. But there's no fight there. Rashee Rice let a ball come to him and a DB make a play on it because he didn't react to the ball. They're not aggressive enough. They're not coached enough.
Like I think for Xavier specifically, it's more last year or more this year with the injury. Last year, he was fighting through the ball multiple times. We have real visual film evidence of him doing that. I think the one against the Raiders spooked him. I personally think that he went up and got it, and then he got turned on it, and he hurt after that. I think it spooked him personally. However, there's effort issues. Not running through your routes all the way through. And I don't care that he didn't score on that touchdown. On that throw, by the way, he is not Tyreek Hill. He is not.
No, he's not.
We need to stop doing this. Not only is he hurt with an ankle, he's not even the same after catch player that Tyreek. Nobody is. There is nobody. So please, if you think that he should have scored on that, go take a lap. That's a ridiculous opinion. Go take a lap. I think the wide receiver coach needs to go. I think the running backs coach needs to go. Matt Nagy also needs to go. Not because I think he's a bad offensive coordinator. I don't think he's a bad one, but they need new ideas. This offense needs new ideas. Somebody needs to tell Andy, hey, you've been great for so long. You've won Super Bowls. However, you refuse to run the damn ball. You refuse to let your wide receivers run real slants. If you go back to last week against the Colts, they had Rashee Rice run that little hitch route or the spot route, and they wrapped Xavier Worthy on an in route behind it one time. That is the only time I've ever seen him do that, and they have not done it since. And it gains you 9-10 yards. Do that every damn time. Let him run real routes. Let these guys run real routes.
I completely agree with you. So, and here's the thing. You have to adjust with the times. It is part of the deal. And right now, defenses are keying on your pass game, again, knowing that as good as you are, Patrick Mahomes, you don't have Tyreek. And honestly, I don't even know that if you had Tyreek in his current version, it would be near the same as it was. So there is no solution coming to that. But Kareem ends up plus 4 yards per carry. They did give him 14. Okay, that's great. That's half of what you did last week. Pacheco, 5 yards a carry on just 3 touches. Again, this is not willing to do what you just did that got you a win. And kudos to Patrick Mahomes. They were able to move the ball. This is what's scary to me.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of this way is that Wanya Morris has to play, possibly. Because they're in trouble.
Please no.
And you made a good point on social as well, that yes, they've won Super Bowls with less than elite talent on the offensive line. But they're right back now with these 2 injuries. They're right back to where they've been, where the tackles are suspect and cannot be trusted.
They might be worse.
They may be.
They might be worse.
Yeah. And I just don't know that we can ask anything more of Patrick. Patrick's had his flaws. And this is, again, goes back to the whole thing. We don't get the same team every week. They still don't know who they are. They still don't know how to settle down. They are not the same team every week. And until they are, we won't know exactly what they have or what they can do.
I want everyone to watch what the Bears are doing to the Eagles right now. Just watch.
I want you to watch it on stream. I may be behind, though.
Ben Johnson is destroying them. Ben Johnson's destroying them. A Vic Fangio defense, which Patrick Mahomes schematically has typically struggled with.
Yep.
Why is that working? Because a coach is willing to try something different, being a little bit different. Andy Reid, I love, I need everyone to understand this. I love Spags. He's one of the greatest defensive coaches of all time. Andy Reid is one of the greatest offensive minds of all time. These guys can also get in their own way. They think they have all the answers. But when they don't, and they surround themselves with the guys that they've surrounded themselves for years, everyone's saying, yeah, this has worked. Yeah, this has worked. Let's go back to that. If there's no new ideas and there's no caring about what's going on in the NFL, which it doesn't seem like there is, there's no way for you to advance an offense. Patrick Mahomes had to change the way he played after they traded Tyreek Hill out of necessity, not because they wanted to, out of necessity. There needs to be an out of necessity, because if there isn't, you're doing the same thing and you're just ramming your head against the wall, hoping a defense says, hey, we're just not going to care anymore. The only thing they don't care about is your run game.
Yep. And this is exactly what JJ's saying. JJ, thank you for your comments. Luis, new coordinators, yes, we can see that on the offensive side.
Yeah.
I can't go there on the defensive side. I will say this,
I agree.
Though. My opinion on the staff has changed after the last 3 games. And I am no longer comfortable with the job Joe Collins is doing.
Fair.
Yes, it's talent. But Joe Collins came in here and maybe even his first 2 seasons, he was able to elevate players to play above what maybe their expectation was. George Karlaftis' ascension last season, and certainly the season before, was above expectation for me. And I have to think that had something to do with Collins. But right now, there's comments on social from the defensive linemen that are not good, that are hinting at strife within that room. Certainly their performance is not coming up. No one is being lifted in that group. And I don't know if that just means it's run its course and they're not listening to him anymore, or if adjustments are not being made to fix the solution. But I think there could be more changes on the defensive side than we think as well. I don't think it's Merritt or Spags, but it could be more. And I don't know that anybody else is immune.
I don't disagree. And let's not forget that Jalen Watson was a 7th round pick.
Yep.
There wasn't a ton of upside there. He's basically been the same player. So he's done well in what he's asked to do. I'm struggling with what Noah Williams did. What did he do wrong? Do you have an answer to that question? Do you?
I do not.
Okay. There must be something that happened behind closed doors. There is no reason that he's not. There should be no talent reason why he's not playing. Because I'll tell you, outside of Trent McDuffie, that dude is the most talented corner you have. Like, not bar none. He's the most talented corner you have, and he's not playing. Like, that's.
I think something happened over the bye week that we may or may never know about. And if we do, it'll be well after the fact. Somehow you got in the doghouse. I don't know how. I'm hoping that this 6 reps on defense was due to necessity and it earned him a way back. I'll tell you this. They also need CRW, who I do think has made some progress.
I agree.
but he came out very underrated. We were two of only like a handful of people that even had him on a draft board.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
We're the only people that also said that he should be getting starting like reps last year. Nobody cared about that. We were like, hey, CRW needs to play. And then that it's been a huge thing for them.
It really has. And they have to bank on that. They've done well at selecting guys late. McDuffie has worked out despite yesterday's performance.
Correct.
I think everybody's a little overwrought about
day.
Trent. He has worked out. But again, he was a first-round selection. Everything after that is a little bit iffy. Najee Johnson, where'd he go?
Oh, he's inactive. He doesn't play.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like the rest of the Fab Seven, right? Brian Cook is not going to come back. I actually think they felt Brian Cook's absence yesterday without Justin Reed on the field. So, like,
which, no offense, tells you something.
Maybe. I think he's been playing better this year, but he certainly has not become an all-pro of any kind. So that's fine. I don't think that they renew. As far as what they need in the defense in the draft, they need defensive line, but they also need secondary. They need to refill that room as well. And I think it probably means they have to bring in a veteran to lead somebody. Because I think part of the secondary's issues this year have been a vacuum of leadership by a veteran.
I don't disagree. Not at all.
Okay. We need a true number one X receiver and go win outside the numbers against man coverage like Rice or Worthy. They're not that. They're 2s and 3s. The thing is Andy's offense does not use a number one X. That is not the way he runs an offense. He will never do that. He does not want to pummel something and throw into tight windows like they do in Dallas. He does not want an oversized, non-explosive or not elite explosive number one receiver. He does not want to do that. The West Coast offense is built around spreading the ball around. And that's why we talk about it. When you're targeting 8, 9, and 10 players, that's the West Coast offense working. When you're not, it's failing. And that's what it comes down to.
And I do think sometimes you have to kind of abandon the West Coast mindset, or at least Andy Reid's mindset of only throwing to guys if they're open. I think it's seeped into Patrick Mahomes' play personally. If he's not wide open, he almost doesn't throw the football unless they're double covered downfield, which I don't really get that one. However, I think that allowing wide receivers to develop in every aspect of their football game and not just against zone coverage, which is the big thing right now, is that their wide receivers are playing well against zone, but they can't separate against man. Why do you think that is? It's because they're not developed and taught how to. They have no idea how to release properly. Look at George Pickens yesterday. Yeah, okay, fine. OPI, no big deal. But what did he do? He forced Jalen Watson to think he was going outside, and he got him to open his hips, and then he opened to the inside. You don't see anybody on the Chiefs do that ever. They don't ever do that. So, and then when they brought somebody in that knew how to do it last year in DeAndre Hopkins, they ignored him. They didn't care about it. So this is an Andy Reid philosophy of Patrick. You don't throw the football if he's not wide open. And then it's wide receivers schemed into space. But if you're not going to get the football, we don't really care what you do. Like this is a mindset of the offense, and it's seeping into the receivers.
You bring up a very good point, and it goes back to the fact that there are details being missed everywhere on the field by everyone.
Everywhere.
I think that comes back to this question. Hold on, Donnie. I'm going to come right back to you, I promise. Seems as the team struggles to go flat in the third quarter. Is this a coaching or a player issue? Yes, it is both. They are not as well coached as they have been in the past. They are not performing and doing the little details as well as they have in the past. It is both.
You guys just heard me on my rant. Like I'm with Ryan. It's both. It's coaching, and then the players also aren't giving the right effort all the time. Specifically, I think Xavier Worthy. I've seen it multiple times. Rashee Rice, not as much. His is more of a drop issue, not so much an effort through his route issue. But Xavier, it feels like when he doesn't think he's getting the football, he's running like 75%. And then he just like stops sometimes.
That route that he should have been hot against, I can't remember, was it the Colts? He didn't even turn his head.
Yeah.
He knows his guy is leaving on the blitz, and he didn't even turn his head. That's a detail you cannot let go. That could have changed that game.
Yeah.
Two more things. We can't let we got to get George some help. I'm more mad about with that than his performance, and I question why Menahew was still on the team. Menahu's starting to play hard. I'll give him that, but he is not effective enough. I do think he got a bullshit call on him. That was not roughing in any shape or the form, as I would call it.
I will be
But
very honest with you guys. You guys know I don't care about referees in terms of outcomes of games. The Chiefs did not play the Cowboys yesterday. However, there were a handful of calls against the Chiefs that were not penalties. The OPI on Xavier Worthy was not a penalty. The
Agreed.
hold on Josh Simmons, where he just puts his guy in the dirt because he was leaving his feet, not a penalty.
Absolutely.
There were a couple of them. One on the George Pickens stop route from Jalen Watson, not a penalty. Okay, because he can't separate from man, that doesn't mean it's a penalty. It just means you're in the wrong position.
He's in
buddy.
contact.
Yeah. So there were some very, very bad calls. Do I think it changes the outcome of the game? A little bit. However, the game wasn't as close as the score suggested. The Chiefs weren't really in that football game. They needed a Patrick Mahomes savior multiple times to be in that football game.
Yeah, I agree. Dark horse, gotta let George play DT and just let him collapse the pocket. Am I wrong for at least trying? I don't disagree with you. If they have true edge rushers, I have no problem with him even starting as an end on first and second down, and on third round, put him inside. That's perfectly fine with me.
Karlaftis is a 3-4 defensive end. You can't convince me otherwise. And that's the problem. They drafted him to play outside, to be like almost a 7 tech. He's not. He's a 4-eye. That's what he is. You cannot convince me otherwise.
I agree with you. And I'll tell you this. Have you watched much of the college edge rushers?
No.
Okay. Because I've been trying to stay neutral. I've been trying to keep my butt out of it until I actually do the film reviews. But the Texas Tech kids keep popping up, and I want a Red Raider, and it's not the guy that everybody else wants. I want the height kid. And he's not a Spags type, but I feel like he adjusts on the fly. I think his counter game is there. I think he's more intuitive, and I think he's the kind of rusher that you can get in the second round probably and play into a good substitution package to slide George inside and let him rush from the outside. And that's just where I'm going to be. I don't care if they take a designated pass rusher in the second round because you have to have pass rush next year. You have to.
I'm with you. All right, guys, we got to get through some of your super chats here, so we're gonna focus on that here real quick.
Take over because I'm too damn slow.
All right. No, it's not just you. It's me too. Perry, thank you for the 5, my friend. When you look at the offense, top offenses, you know what their base plays are. Can you tell us what the base offense is? It feels like, Pat, go make a play. You're not wrong. Like, you are not wrong. Andy Reid's basically asking him to read the defense and make the call. That's why he's calling RPOs a ton. Back to calling RPOs a ton. Because he doesn't want to just go out there and call a run under center. I have heard Patrick Mahomes multiple times say he doesn't care how he gets a win. Do you think he would have been mad if the Chiefs won 24-21 because they ran the ball down under center multiple times yesterday? No, he wouldn't have cared. But it feels like Andy Reid doesn't care about that. So he is actively asking Patrick Mahomes to make all the calls for himself in those games, but also calling RPOs. What do you think?
I think it's hitch. I think it's over. I think it's deep shot. Oh, and then we'll run outside zone. And we're going to try to pass. And if we have to, we'll give him another look. I think that's the offense, and that's Andy's mind. Patrick makes it look a little bit more complex because Patrick is making changes, but I think that is the offense at this point.
Frustrating. Very frustrating. Thank you very much, Perry. Would you mind looking for Donnie's first super chat real quick? He says that we only read the second one. So, okay, Donnie, we will get you on that while I answer this one from KB. Appreciate the $4.99, my friend. Yes, changes need to be made, but Andy is too loyal to his people. What will it take? Pat going to Clark and demanding what? The cap situation is bad. Yeah, it's not great. But the cap's going to go up. The cap can always be maneuvered, manufactured. Patrick's going to get a new contract this offseason probably, which is going to give you some more flexibility, things like that. You can always find ways to maneuver the cap around. So that's not something I'm currently worried about until it comes about. However, Andy Reid being too loyal to his people is something that does concern me because we have seen time after time, oh, Matt Nagy's done as a head coach, come back and be my offensive coordinator. He's too buddy with some of these guys, and he doesn't want other ideas in the room because it feels like he feels like he's mastered the West Coast offense, right? Like he feels like he's mastered that, and he doesn't want anybody to bring in a different idea on what he should probably be doing in today's NFL.
Old dog, old tricks. I found it. And Donnie, I'm sorry, I'm not sure how we missed this because I think we got Perry's.
Yeah.
So apologies. But he said 3 things. Dave Tope might not be here next year. Agreed.
Okay. Fair.
They're going to hire outside the building for an OC. I hope, but I don't agree with you. And spend on D-line and free agency. Clark is not happy. I agree with you. Clark is probably not happy. The cap is the problem. I don't think the spend is necessarily the problem. I'm just not convinced they can get to the point where they're 50 or 60 under the cap in order to go shopping in free agency.
That's the thing, is we got to see something happen. Whether it's a big trade, I don't know what's going to happen, but they did this with Tyreek Hill. It would not surprise me if that were to happen again in some way, shape, or form. I don't know who it's going to be. I'm not sure what it's going to be, but again, it wouldn't shock me at all. Appreciate the super chat, KB. Black and Gold, thank you for the 5. No denying it. Chiefs have to overhaul the process of structuring the team from coaching to the roster build and modernizing the offensive, defense, and special teams. What do you think?
Optimize, yes. Modernizing, I feel like the offense is almost too modern myself. Like there's too much reliance on fancy misdirection, etc. There's not enough meat and damn potatoes in my mind. On the defensive side, I could probably say the same thing on the defensive side. What are the core fundamentals of defense? Rush the damn passer, stop the pass, attack the run with the middle level. The linebackers are okay. Drew Tranquil will not be here. I don't know that Jeff Bossa solves your issue against the run, but the linebackers are the level that should be attacking the run the best. So there may be an acquisition there as well.
I'm concerned specifically about like the defensive line. Everything else I think can function just fine. However, they have to address the linebackers have to do more against the run. One, Nick Bolton can't stack and shed. It's impossible. Every time a block gets to him, he's eaten up. Every time. That I kid you not. Go watch him. Every time somebody gets to him, he can't get over the block. However, they have to be very aggressive. So when your defensive tackles cannot eat up blocks outside of Chris Jones, or he's taking stuff out of the play, so no one's getting blocked, but they're getting to the second level. What happens? Holes open up. They have to be uber aggressive, and then they've been uber aggressive and pretty good at it for the most part. But if you misdiagnose, if they run play action and you're running downhill, what happens? If you have to overcome so much for your defensive line because the defense tackles are putting themselves out of position, you're making the job harder on linebackers who really aren't great against the pass. So you're putting them in worse positions. That's how I see it.
Makes sense. Thank you, Donnie. Sorry we missed that one initially.
Yes, thank you, Donnie. Sorry. Hopefully, sorry we couldn't put it back up there either. That's our bad. I'm not sure what happened there. Didn't get starred from StreamYard. We'll blame them. That's all on them. Bozzy, thank you very much for the super chat. Most of the players don't seem hungry on this team. Feels like it's time for some new blood. Tired of Reed hiring butt players that just agree with him. If there's one thing about Andy Reid and the team that I don't like, it's that they never seem like mad after they lose. Obviously Patrick's pissed off. I can see that. Andy Reid just says we got to fix stuff. I don't want that. I don't want to hear that anymore. I don't think anybody wants to hear that anymore. If there's no real accountability, and I know I've disagreed with some people before. I personally believe every now and then when things aren't going well in press conferences, something needs to be said by a coach about something to do with either the effort, the assignments of players, or just the full out execution of the players. Like this one is not executing at a high enough level. I personally believe that does more good than saying, hey, we as a team need to collectively fix some things. Because at the end of the day, no one has any responsibility to the outside world to do anything. Internally, if you all think we're doing your best job and we're going to fix it, I just over time, that doesn't seem to work for any team. Patrick Mahomes has done a fantastic job of dragging this team. And then last couple of years, the defense has drugged this team into the postseason. And then they've just been excellent on third down in the fourth quarter to win those games. But at the end of the day, some of these players need to be held accountable.
Yeah, I do not argue with you at all. I just don't know if Andy Reid can do that. I don't know if
either.
at this point he can change.
I don't think he can. And again, I'm not asking for Andy Reid to be fired, but at the end of the day, somebody has to say something. Now, maybe calling people out more so in real practice, more so in the locker room. Maybe that's a more realistic thing to
Maybe.
aspire to, because I don't think that happens either. I
I
would
think
be
you're probably right.
baffled if anyone went into a locker room and said, "Hey, you need to be better." No, I don't think that happens at all.
I think you're probably absolutely right. Ron, oh, sorry, did we both click that?
I think
Stay out of your,
probably
I'll
you're
stay out of
good.
your way. Sorry, I'm
No,
hands
it's
free at this
fine.
point.
Go for it.
Pickens ran 5 slants with no adjustments from Spags. I never call anyone's job, but why is Connor even playing? CD pointed to Connor when he was covering. Yes, CD knows. Everyone knows. Spags is in a love affair just like he was with Sorensen. That is part of the Spags experience. I don't enjoy it. I don't like it, but it's not going to go away. You're just going to have to deal with it. I think at some point the contract is going to determine whether Shamari Connor's a chief or not.
I don't think Spags had a choice personally.
Now without CRW available.
No, and it's not so much that. It's about like the slants. He probably told Watson like cover the inside, but he doesn't. He just didn't. I yelled at my TV, just stay inside. You can recover to the outside. You're an outside receiver. You have enough space to turn and run if he goes to the fade. And plus, that's a lesser percentage point play that it's going to be completed. And much easier one is if you give up the inside and open your hips to the sideline and force yourself in a worse position to recover inside. That is all right here. That is Jalen Watson just not being mentally tough enough to say, I can stay inside and I can recover outside. You have to stay inside. Have to. I don't care if you take 2 steps inside and maintain that inside leverage, recover to the outside. Fine. Again, you can recover there. You can't recover to the inside on that quick slants like that. And he just didn't know that.
Or isn't willing to.
Correct.
I got to think by now he should know that. He is a free agent. Let's be real. So is Nazi. So is Brian Cook. Like this list, I just pulled it up, is starting to concern me. Shamari Connor is not. I'll have to look at his contract, but head on to the next one.
All right, guys. And I'm not like trying to be just a Debbie Downer here, guys. Like I think that there are still some good things that happen. Unfortunately, Battery, I appreciate the two. Brian Hartline's not leaving Ohio State. He's not going anywhere. I actually think that he just wants to be their head coach. I don't think he wants to go to the NFL. I think he just wants to stay in college. I don't know for a fact. That's my assumption. It's an opinion. I'd welcome it. I would love it. I just don't think it's going to happen.
He's the heir apparent, right? Okay.
He went from wide receiver coach to the offensive coordinator. He's absolutely the heir apparent. Like,
okay.
Absolutely.
Just checking. Just making sure.
Appreciate the 2. Teddy, thank you for the 999. I don't think they'll get 2 first rounds for Duffy because Sauce trade felt very unique. That being said, who could you see trading 1 first for him in the spring?
Any number of teams. Anybody that don't have a top 10 coverage guy. I mean, 20 teams in the league would trade for Trent McDuffie. No. Would they trade a 1 and a 3? Probably. I think he's worth that.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. I don't think you're going to get 2 1s. That was an overpay by the Colts. But they're going all in for a Super Bowl, which they aren't going to win.
And their jobs.
Let's be real. They pinned their they pinned their jobs on Daniel Jones, guys. They had to trade 2 first-round picks for Sauce to get anything out of that because Daniel Jones doesn't win you a Super Bowl. So I agree with you, Teddy. You can't hold that light from Trent McDuffie. However, if they were to trade him, I think a first and third is absolutely within reason.
I'm with you.
Appreciate the super chat, man. Perry, thank you for the 2. If Spags leaves, do you trade Bolton? I don't think Spags is leaving. I think he's going to retire when he's done in Kansas City, personally. Like when he's all done, he's just going to retire and leave football unless he gets a head coaching job, which I don't think he's going to get a head coaching job because I don't think anyone sees him as a true head coaching candidate. I think they're going to interview him. I just don't feel like teams around the league think he is a head coach, which that's
I think
fine.
The Giants might. I think the Mariners have experience with Spags, and I think they might want him back.
I don't. I think Mara's getting fired, so I don't. Sorry, I think that their GM's getting fired, not the Mariners.
No, I know. But that's what I'm saying. Like it's not the GM. It's the Mariners that I think.
I don't. I actually think Mike Kafka is doing a really good job. I think he might
agree.
get the job. I think he might get the head coaching job. He's cleaned out the defense coordinator, said, look, it wasn't our offense's fault. It's your fault, and I'm going to fire you. Like, I think that Mike Kafka might actually get this job. So that's my opinion. Granted,
I'd like to see it.
I watched how those practices were run last year at the Senior Bowl, and they weren't great. But that might not necessarily be on him. But to this point, Perry, what are you getting for Nick Bolton? A guy who can only do really one thing in the NFL, and he's small. What are you getting for Nick Bolton?
It's a good question. I think you're going to get a team that's a little bit more straightforward. I think there are coordinators in this league that would want him. I think there's a couple of head coaches. I think Houston might be one of them. They have linebacker talent, though, so I don't know that they have a whole lot of space there. But I think Spags will definitely get interviews. He might get an offer for a head coach job, and if so, this may become a thing. But I don't know the value you're going to get for him either. A 2 at most.
I don't think you can get that either with the contract. Like it's an objectively bad contract, and no team is going to say, "Hey, let's give you a day 2 pick. You might get a 4th round pick." Is that helping you out? I don't think so.
What is he against the cap next year? 19.25.
That's no that okay. You're going to get a 6th round pick. You can't trade Nick Bolton, guys. Sorry, he's going to be on the team next year. Wow, thank you very much for that, Perry. FLDB with a 20. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. One of our moderators, guys. Make sure you give him a shout out. Happy Thanksgiving, y'all. I believe having the 3 hardest games left in our schedule at home is the only positive to try and get into the playoffs. We got to take it week at a time. Beating the Texans gives us 25% chance. They've been taking it a week at a time, according to them. Like if you believe this team, they've said they've been taking it a week at a time. It's all since like 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's been one game at a time. I just at the end of the day, I'm kind of over what they say, and I'm more interested in what they do. What they show me is that they have no interest in correcting problems. They have no interest in doing what works around the NFL, and they have no interest in actually course correcting an offense when you do what's supposed to actually work. And it does work against the Colts, and you abandon it against the defense that you were showcasing that it worked against as well, and they didn't care. So I appreciate the sentiment, FLDB. Thank you. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and thank you very much for the support, my friend.
Yeah, you're the man, dude. I appreciate you, and I need to get back to you about a scoreboard. If the Chiefs do not make these playoffs, I will be live streaming games. I don't know if Dan will be able to join or not, but I will give you live play-by-play of playoff games if the Chiefs are out. So,
we're absolutely doing this.
Okay.
We are going to. Like, no joke. I will have a lot of fun with this stuff. Like, a lot of fun.
It might not have to be a member stream, given the words I'm going to say. So we'll see.
It absolutely will. No offense, guys. It's going to be a member stuff. Like, we're going to do these playoff games, maybe one regular, and I think the rest of them might be members. Give you guys a feel, and then we'll just kind of have fun with them. But thank you very much for that, FLDB. Cue ball, thank you for the 2. The season is lost. How do we plan for next year? You got a plan for him, Ryan?
My plan is to keep trying to win. Try to sneak in and reset your expectations. January ball, here's the advantage. No one has as much experience on a single roster than the Kansas City Chiefs in playing in the postseason. Not even the Philadelphia Eagles. If you look, games played by total roster, right? So if you can get there and you can reset the clock to 0, you might be able to go on a run. That's the best I can tell you. Otherwise, planning for next year is trying to figure out your cap, trying to get reductions from some of your stars, including Chris Jones, and trying to plan how you're not only going to draft, but how you're going about free agency to get impact players at the pillar 4 positions. You have to improve them.
I want to see Andy Reid stuck in a room for a month watching Sean McVay's offense. That's what I want personally. Just watch what the coaches who change their offense based on what's working in the NFL. Watch that and see how it works. Because Andy Reid sticking his head in the mud, acting like nothing else around the league matters, and that is hurting your offense. It's hurting your quarterback. You just wasted it. Again, I believe they wasted a year. I don't think they're making the postseason. I just don't think they're going to. So, I mean, for me, how do you plan for next year is that you have to actually self-evaluate. Like what you typically do at the bye week for your season, you have to do it in the off season. I feel like they haven't really self-evaluated based on how they went into the season. Yeah, you got Josh Simmons in the draft. Great. He was a top 10 talent, but everyone else was scared off. All right, if that's not going to happen 95% of the time, like it's just not going to happen. So you can't bank on that kind of thing happening. You have to really look in the mirror and say, this isn't working. What I did this year, what I did, not what the team did, what I did this year didn't work. And you have to self-evaluate.
Yeah. That's a tough mirror to look in when you're this experienced. I hope you can do it.
We all hope he can do it. Thank you, Q Ball. Thank you, Ian. Thank you for the 2. Can you still get trade value for Chris Jones? I mean, yeah, absolutely. Chris Jones is one of the best defensive players in football, especially over the last 3 weeks. He's been great. Like since the bye, he's been fantastic. I don't have any issues with that. And you guys know, if you've watched the film review, go back and watch that. Please do. I told you guys this was going to happen. That Chris Jones was just fine. He's been fantastic still. So there's definitely still trade value if that's the course. However, if you trade Chris Jones, you have
what the hell do you have?
You have more work to do on the defensive line than they've ever had to do.
Yeah, I agree. Man, I tell you what.
All right. So this is just a really fun question from our friend Jeff here. What would the Chiefs' record be without Mahomes? You got an answer? Because I do.
They might have 3 wins.
You think they might have 3 wins?
They might have 3 wins.
They'd be lucky to have 2. They'd be lucky to have 2. This team with not only the misexecution issues, but a quarterback who literally can't win games in the fourth quarter. They've had to win games in the fourth quarter or they've been blowing teams out. And even then, do I trust Gardner Minshew to be a quarterback that can win those games? No. So they might have 2 wins. They would have beat the Raiders. Let's be honest.
Right.
They would have dog walked the Raiders no matter what. But I'm looking at 1 win and I'm trying to think, where's the other win? They lose to the Colts with any other quarterback. They lose to pretty much any other team they've played than a quarterback. You might sneak 1 out, but you might have 2 wins.
Yeah, could be. Move on. I don't want to think about it.
Got another one here from Q Ball. Thank you very much for another super chat and a 5. I know blaming the refs is a loser mentality, but am I wrong in feeling like the refs were trying to hand that game to the Lions? Penalties felt very one-sided.
I felt they made a lot of mistakes. I don't buy into trying to make one team win or not.
Yeah, that's never. I'm never a conspiracy theorist with the referees. I feel like based on how games unfold, sometimes you can say, well, they were being ticky-tack. And honestly, if you see one side of the ball doing something and getting away with it, do the same damn thing yourself. Chiefs wide receivers, I mean, when it's man coverage, okay? Because obviously running a pick, not even really running a pick, gets you called an OPI for the Chiefs. However, if you're in true man coverage, do a little bit of what they're doing. That's how I feel like it, but I don't think they were trying to hand it to the line, to hand the game to the Lions at all.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Q Ball. Donnie got another one here. $2 more for how pissed off I am at Dave. Honestly, I thought the special teams yesterday was okay. Did you feel the same way?
Listen. I've been on Tyquan Thornton since before he was a Chief. You guys know that. He is kind of like one of my pet projects. I like him. But he is not shifty enough to be a returner at this point. Okay.
You know something really funny. I'm sorry to cut you off. You want something so funny?
Go.
I have been saying, if you're not going to play Bashar Smith as an actual running back, put him in kick return. One thing, he gets back there and he returns at 40 yards. Oh, what an idea!
Oh, shite. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. That is the type of player. And me, who had a decent one yesterday too. But my guy Tyquan needs to be on the field on offense more. And they need to continue to look to attack with him, not necessarily on 9 routes. I didn't see him run an overall game, and I think he run 12 routes, something like that. I'm going to check that. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Appreciate you, Dave. Or Donnie, excuse me, not Dave. You're mad at Dave, not Dave. Can we get in, says Alex. Do you think we will still? Ryan still believes there's a chance. He is all about that. He thinks that there's a chance. Mathematically, sure. I don't think they're going to. I think they might lose to the Texans this week, personally. Next week, not this week. I think they might lose to the Texans. If you got Wanya Morris out there at all, CJ Stroud's back this week. He's going to play next week against the Chiefs. I don't think if you have Wanya Morris out there, I don't know if Jalen Moore can get the job done. Juwan Taylor is probably going to get abused too. And if you have a backup at guard, we're talking about a defensive line that's going to eat their lunch all day long. That game itself, not so much outscoring the Titans or the Texans, but simply being able to field an offense that refuses to run the ball. How do you stop a pass rush? You show them that you can run the football. And Andy Reid has been very reluctant, as we know, to even do that. So I'm a little worried about that. Okay. Alex, Ryan thinks they can still get in. I'm pretty much at this point almost hoping that they're out. Coach Dub, thank you for the question. Can anyone tell me why the Chiefs decided to keep Tillery and not pursue Colin Saunders?
Nope. I ain't got jack shit to say about that. I'm pissed.
Who's Jerry Tillery? You guys seen him? I haven't seen that guy. I don't know who that is.
Where'd he go?
I have no idea. But again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys I was right. I'm just not going to do it.
But you were.
Thank you very much.
You were right.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate you. Chief Knicks fan, thank you for the 2, man. I'm sorry. I won't.
I want better picks.
I want better picks. Yeah, no, don't be sorry about that. I don't think anybody should be sorry about that. I get it.
I'm going to share with you before we wrap up. At the very end, I want to share with you my working theory, and I get where you're coming from. It could be an ingestion of what they need right now, but we'll get to that last thing.
Okay, I thought you were about to share something right now.
No. We'll get to it last thing before we sign off.
All right, my bad. Battery, thank you for another 2 here. Would you trade Rice if someone comes calling? No, I wouldn't do it. Rasheed Rice is the only guy in your offense that sees the game the same way that Patrick does outside of Travis Kelce. They see the game the same way. No, I can't, especially because Andy Reid's going to be your head coach, your offensive coordinator, essentially. I can't trade the one guy who sees the game the same way as Patrick. I can't trade him away. Yeah, I'm 100% with you. That is not something that can happen right now. Thank you very much for the 2, my friend. KB back with another one here with 10 says, thanks, guys. I always learn a lot from you. I've been I'm not tipsy anymore, but like 25, 30 minutes ago, I was feeling that beer. I'm not anymore. So you guys got a little bit more ranty style from me. But I appreciate that, KB. That's the idea. That's the goal here. We want to teach you guys what we know. And again, we're always learning. Like there's not one person that does this job that knows everything. We try to impart our knowledge. That's the best that we can do. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know everything about football because I don't. I don't know everything about the Chiefs. I can't guarantee you that everything that I say is true. I can't. You want to know why? Because I'm not in the room with Andy Reid. I'm not in the room with Steve Spagnuolo. What I can do is I can watch the game and I can tell you what this looks like based off of all of the information that I have gathered, everything that I have watched and learned over my 7 years doing this, which is not a very long time. For those of you who played football, we've been watching it longer. Like it's a different thing. So at the end of the day, we appreciate you guys, the fact that you come here every single stream, you give us great questions, you support us, and that we can give you guys a little bit of our knowledge. And that's it. That's great. Yeah, that's what it's all about. And that's why we try to be real and we try not to overreact. We try to help everybody else not overreact because we've been here. When I was coaching, a lot of miserable years, been through that and seen some guys who didn't have enough talent win some pretty impressive ball games. So that's why I tend to have a little bit more optimism. I get it. I want to have it, but I just don't see it right now. Oh, I just unstarred something that I shouldn't have. Oh, shite. I got nothing. I'll find it. I know you will. There it is. Here it is. You're always good. William says he wants Eric Bieniemy back in Kansas City. I'm not touching this one. I'm not doing it. I wouldn't mind it. I always like EB. I don't know that it'll change enough. And I think honestly, I think the relationship is strained enough. I don't think Andy would have it. You heard it from mine. Okay. Appreciate it, William. Last super chat here from David Reed. Then we'll give you guys our final thoughts on the game, the frustrations, whatever it is. Thank you very much for the super chat. If the Chiefs trade McDuffie this offseason, does that increase chances Watson stays or does Veach overhaul secondary? That's an interesting point about overhauling the secondary. However, I do think that Jalen Watson stays. I don't think that Jalen Watson is going to command a huge contract, and I don't think he should. I do think that the scheme helps him specifically because you saw on an island against a good receiver in George Pickens, he was basically useless. He didn't learn. He didn't learn anything all game.
Right.
See, the thing I think about Trent McDuffie is that he played the same way, but he played it right. He was physical. He was being as physical as Pickens or as physical as CeeDee Lamb, but he was getting calls and they weren't. So there was one time he fell. Okay, big whoop. He fell down. Again, it wasn't his best game either. The difference being he was giving it as good as he was taking it. Jalen Watson was giving George Pickens inside releases when he opens his hips to the outside and giving it to him. Those are two different things. So I think that if they were to trade Trent McDuffie, they would keep Watson, and you would have Watson and Williams on the outside. What do you think?
I think they would keep Watson. If they went into a true overhaul, I like what I've seen from Noah Williams. I'm not ready to say that he's ready to be an island corner. I think he has the potential to be there. But if they're not going to train him up, if they're not going to coach him up, I don't see how we can get there the way he plays currently. So if they decided to trade Trent McDuffie, they could go into an overhaul where those guys are then fighting for jobs with either free agent acquisitions or high-end draft picks. I don't know what that looks like. I prefer not to go down that road myself.
We all know that Christian Fulton ain't making this is not going to be on this roster that next year. He shouldn't be anyway. I don't know what happened, but boy, that is
ain't kidding.
There's a contract. And thank you very much for that, David. We do have Knicks fan here, snuck another one in here. Thank you very much for the super chat. I just got my Rice jersey. I love watching him. I love watching him when he's catching the football. I don't know about you. When he's catching the football, that guy can make some plays. And honestly, when they're asking him to run real routes, he can make plays. I love that part. Watch a little bit of the game from the Cowboys back and let Rice do some slants. Let him do some of that. I think that he can do that pretty well, but they won't do that. But I agree with you, man. I like watching him too, especially when he's engaged. And it feels like sometimes the first half of the Colts game, he wasn't as engaged. The second half, he was absolutely engaged, and you felt that difference. So I'm with you, man. I appreciate it. So thank you for the super chat. We are going to give you guys our final thoughts. Ryan, you said you had something to lead off with here. So be my guest.
Let's go to this so that you guys can see what I see. Because I want to share this, and I got to adjust the size real quick. Hold on, folks. And this is what I want to really implore you to study up a little bit. We are right here in the Patrick Mahomes dynasty era. This is a firsthand look. Oh, crap. And I just screwed it all up because I had to go mess with it. We are in a pivotal point of what was for Tom Brady an evolution. And hopefully I can make this work a little bit better. These years right now, I am firmly convinced after this that we are right now in the 2008 era of Patrick Mahomes, where won Super Bowls, won divisions, conferences, lost a Super Bowl. And the immediate next year, they struggled and they had to revamp. This is where everything changed for the dynasty in New England, where they start going with veteran 1 years and they had to start cutting these guys. And you saw that churn start, right? Because they had guys that had high contracts. They had the quarterback contract to deal with, and everyone had kind of figured them out, right? By the way, coincidentally, this is Spags that ruined them. So let's make sure that you guys recognize that as well. And then it got a little dicey. They got back into the playoffs, and then the second half of their dynasty took off. And this is kind of what I've convinced myself after watching some of the similarities of where this Chiefs team is. If they miss the playoffs this year, it's instantly going to equate to 2008 for me. And then the question becomes, is what Andy Reid and Brett Veach do to write the train and write the process so you can fulfill the second half. The league caught up to the Patriots at one point, and then they changed their whole theory as well. And if the paradigm shifts, the Chiefs still have a chance to go on another epic run and really place it all together. So whatever happens this season, I think the future still holds a lot of wins in our futures.
I agree. And I don't think they're far off from winning a Super Bowl. I really don't. I've been very outspoken that this is the most talented offenses that they've ever had. And I think it is. But when you can't execute, when you refuse to do the things that work in the NFL right now, you're hindering your ability to do so. So I think that not only is this season needed for the coaching staff to realize that, it's needed for the fans too. Because I came in also thinking that this team should just go right back into the Super Bowl based off what they did. But if you continue to believe that the way that you are operating and being bailed out, like I should have done better last year of seeing Patrick Mahomes was bailing this team out. Like, it was cool they won those close games. Why were they winning those close games? It wasn't because of Andy Reid. It wasn't because of his play calling. It was because on third downs and in the fourth quarter, Patrick said, I'm the best player on the planet, and I'm going to just win. I'm just going to win. Or they get a really good special teams play. Or they get a fumble that makes no sense. They had a ton of luck last year in their one-score games. A ton of it. And that, I think, got in their heads. Yeah. That made them think they can get away with more than what they should have. And I myself thought they could too. That's on me. That's my own hubris, is that I believed too much in the coaching decisions and some of the things that they've done. I'm looking at this team. I'm looking at them run the same offense that they have for 3-5 years. And I'm looking around at the Doug Petersons. I'm looking around at the original Matt Nagy's for the Bears. The offenses that run the Andy Reid run offense fizzled out years ago. They fizzled out years ago. Why is this one sustaining? Well, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback on the planet, and he can do things that Trevor Lawrence, that Justin Fields, Mitch Trubisky, any of those guys can't do. Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz, any of them can't do. That is the singular reason why they were in 3 straight Super Bowls. And I love Andy Reid. I think that he is a big reason that they are organizationally where they are, but it's time to look in the mirror. It's time to see that you are the reason that this offense this season, and really this team, is not where it should be, and why it's failing. Not even halfway. They were failing not even halfway through the season. Yeah. Because of the decisions that you've made. Patrick can't be the same player every year. It would be awesome if he was. Honestly, he was better this year than he was last year. Better this year. But that hasn't been enough. So it's time to look. It's time to take a hard look in the mirror. Sometimes you have to have hard conversations. In life, with your loved ones, this is one that you have to have with yourself, Andy. You have to have a hard conversation about what you're willing to do to see this team go forward and start back to being where they should be.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that is sometimes the hardest part. And for the record, we will keep telling you where those holes are. All the things that we talked about today are things that we identified more than a year ago, that we saw that this could be a potential problem. Every now and then you get somebody who jumps in and overtakes and neutralizes a problem. But these problems are all identifiable. They're foreseeable. And we have done that. So we know the staff should be able to do that. Yeah. That's where we're at here today, folks. Enjoy your weekend. I hope Black Friday didn't drive you nuts, because I certainly didn't go out in it. And of course, Bozzy has to get in there. Go ahead.
All right, Bozzy. Thank you very much for sneaking one in there before we're about to get out of here. Who do you put the failure of this season on? In my opinion, it's the personnel groups who they put out there. Also, what do you guys do to fix the team going, I would imagine, today? Okay. I think I just gave a pretty good explanation of who I think this is on. I think I did, because I still think that if they would have changed some of the things they did this year, they would be much better than they are now. Mm-hmm. I think they would be a much better record. So I'm putting it solely 78% Andy Reid. Some of the decisions that were made in the offseason, I would not have made. And those created some problems that I think you could have avoided.
Yeah. I call it a case of wishful thinking in both the front office and the coaching staff, and not doubling down on the level of player that you have, especially the younger ones, that you're not developing. Yeah. That's what it comes back to. But that said, that's the players not performing either. It is on both. To fix the team today, run the damn ball, play the players that are capable of doing what they do in the positions that they're capable of doing what they do. That solves your defense. And for the love of God, blitz a damn linebacker instead of the DBs once in a while. I saw 2 blitzes this last game. Maybe I missed some because I like I said, I did have to go rewatch it. But there are fundamental things that can still be done with assets on this team that are not even being attempted in trying to get a more favorable outcome. It's the best way to put it.
You can't fix the pass rush, so you have to ignore that for the most part. You literally can't fix it. The offense, 33% of the offense needs to be run under center. 33% at minimum. That is not a joke. That is serious, because it is what works, and it is statistically your best functioning offense throughout everything. You can run everything through it. Like, you can do everything. So that is the first and foremost on the defensive side. They're a little hamstrung positionally. Injuries, they're a little hamstrung with talent as well. They're, like I said, you can't fix the pass rush. However, sometimes you kind of got to deal with your 4-man pass rush. Like, you can't just blitz and blitz and blitz. You have to be, if it's Dak Prescott, okay, we'll just throw a 4-man rush at you because you're really, really good at identifying the blitz and beating it. So we're just going to drop into coverage from time to time. If it's a quarterback that isn't really good at it, okay, fine, we'll blitz you. But I think that was a poor game plan from Steve Spagnuolo to blitz Dak Prescott. That is, and especially after we saw it just not work and he just kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it, that bothered me.
I tell you what, I think there is a way to fix the pass rush right now. And that is that you put them all out there. Run a 5-1-5. Put 5 men on there and make those double teams evaporate. That will open Chris loose. That will catalyze the entire defensive front. And that may get you to the point where George Karlaftis can actually hit the quarterback.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe. I don't think they can do it, but who knows? That's the drastic change that I don't foresee saying.
Right.
Thank you very much, Bozzy.
Everything's viable right now. Give it a shot. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll have the Monday Q&A like we always do, and we'll be right back at it. Do not miss a thing. And thanks. Maybe we'll start talking food here pretty soon. So have a good one. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.